Until he notices. Good evening and welcome to, what is this? Baturdays in the Batcave.
How dare you forget?
I'm talking to the Minister of Comics, the co-creator of Baturdays in the Batcave. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk some tangents, answer some questions, and also talk about our tips for how to avoid comic book burnout, which all of us are familiar with to some degree. So hopefully we can give some good advice. And part 2 of our new favorite segment, right, Jess? What is wrong with Tyler Blunt?
What's wrong with Tyler Blunt? Where we start the first 2 minutes of every show talking about what's wrong with him.
Until he notices that we're doing this.
Until he notices. Okay.
So last week we talked about his deflection. This week, let's talk about his inability to understand the concept of time zones. Tyler lives in, was it Central? Is it Central Standard Time?
So, yeah.
So we live in Eastern Standard Time, and Tyler has a really hard time understanding that hour difference. And he's an accountant, so you think numbers would be his thing, but apparently not. And it causes Jess and I no end of grief.
Right, because he's never on time to shows, and he's always he calls at times that normal people generally he's always calling when he that's a separate segment, his calls.
That'll be next time.
Yeah, he just does not understand the concept of the time zone thing, and so he's perpetually late anyway, I think, in his life. And when he interacts with us, it's always confusing because we're always like, our time, my time, not your time, my time, 10 p.m. my time, not your time.
Because Eastern Standard Time is the way that we go by time in the United States. We always say Eastern Standard Time, and then you kind of extrapolate past that.
Right.
So we're kind of the standard for the entire country, and everybody else kind of works backwards. But Tyler thinks Central Standard Time is the only time that matters, even though nobody else really cares about that.
Right.
So that is part 2 of Tyler. Will you notice that we're making fun of you? It'll probably be 20 years from now by the time Tyler actually realizes it.
Let's see. We have a lot of people already. Hello to Gabrielle. How are you? And then we have Christian O. We didn't. Greetings from Denmark. Good to see you. I was worried that we're moving to 8 o'clock permanently as to make life easier in the OmniDog Palace for my wife, OmniWife. 8 p.m. seems to be better for her. I was worried that I was going to lose a lot of my European viewers, our European viewers, especially like Britain and Scotland and Hayden and who else? Like
Glenn 2K12 is from the UK and he's watching. So that's pretty good.
Reaper XC is here. Yay. We love you, Reaper XC. And yes, my wife is back, and you can tell because she's already changing the times of my channel.
And Jess, you received a lot of stuff while she was gone that you're going to be doing a haul of sometime soon, right? I'm bugging you to do that haul because everybody wants to see it. What happened during the 2 weeks of OmniDog?
Right. I will do it this week. Today's Saturday. I'll try and get it done in the next couple days. I will say on air, I will give you this pledge. I'm getting it done by Tuesday at 5. That's my deadline. You didn't
get 27 boxes in like Tyler did while on vacation, but you got a decent amount that'll be fun to show off.
I had a big haul from BBTS. Actually, I can't talk too loud. Oh, she's running water upstairs. I got a big haul from BBTS, and then I got like 3 straight book orders from IST. Yeah, so I got a ton of stuff. And then I got a lot of vinyl too. So I'll keep it in sections for the haul. I'll go books first, toys next, and then vinyl. So you can check out if you don't want to see my vinyl haul. I understand that doesn't necessarily cross over with everybody.
And Kristen lives in the central time zone, and she still gets it.
Here she is. You'd think the 8/7 Central of every TV show promo ever would get that stuck in my head. I convert EST daily, and that helps. Yes. Okay, Hugo. That's definitely happening. I think it's called 2 weeks of OmniDog, but I kind of like OmniDog Spring Break too. That's a good, because I did have 12 days all to myself. It was kind of my spring break. Are you okay with my renaming it OmniDog's Spring Break Haul?
I guess I was just trying to make you sound like George Costanza, so that's why I did the 2 weeks of OmniDog, like the summer of George. What about the spring break of OmniDog?
Spring Break of Omni.
Ooh. Yeah, that can be a.
It's downstairs now. We have to be quiet.
That might have been the funniest moment of the show this whole year. The look of terror in your eyes.
You froze and you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, well, you're breaking up on my screen.
What's that?
You're breaking up on my screen, so I'm not sure who it's happening to.
Oh, audience, what is anything happening to either of us out there?
Can anyone let us know if it's happening to me or Jess? Because on my end, it's happening to Jess, and on his end, it's happening to me.
Yeah. I see both of you okay. Jesse Say What says no. Tyler just messaged me. He's going to have a 7th bowl of cereal. Okay.
Well, of course, we're fine to everybody, but not to each other.
You said something about when I was closing the door.
Okay. I just said that was the funniest look of terror in your eyes.
Okay. That was worth hearing again. Let me go. Oh, we have had a lot of. Did you build the safe room like I told you under the stairs? Unfortunately, that's where all the Christmas decorations are, to collector. Actually, Sasmurf, this room is soundproofed because this used to be my wife's office when she worked from home 20 years ago, or even 30 years ago is when we built this basement. So it's soundproofed around here, but the ceiling isn't. So because Kelly and I would play down here, my daughter and I would play down here, and so everything's been soundproofed around the room. So I just closed the door.
Yeah, you look like you were absolutely terrified. That was pretty funny.
Let's see. Do I have people from India? I do have Farhan from Malaysia. And then there's Glenn from the UK. And
so he's watching us, and that's like 2 a.m. there. So thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, thank you. And whoops. Here's Cycle. Hey now.
Wait, didn't Omar make up that statement?
That's one of the things he stole from me. Let's see. What else? Good morning. Yep. Hi, Jess. Hi, Taylor. Is Tyler still recovering from Disney? Whenever I come back from Disney, I need a full day of silence. Just silence, because
yeah, there's some vacations where it's not exactly relaxing, even though it's fun. Like whenever Kate and I went to Chicago for a weekend or to New York City for a weekend, it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of walking. It's a lot of activities. So there's some vacations that you almost need another vacation from your vacation. So I agree with that.
And now T-Bone is now asking Omar if he's streaming. I'm watching something with my wife that is boring, and I want to watch something good. So T-Bone, if you're out there.
He knows that our shows are every other Saturday, so he should know there's something good on.
He's doing that to jam me up, because that was the chat where I told Omar to leave Saturdays alone, that I could have one day a week.
Well, too bad Tyler won't know about that segment yet, because he's not watching right now.
He may be watching this show. I don't know. Are you
watching? Farhan is here.
There's Farhan. Nice. 8 a.m. is probably even better for you, Farhan. 1 a.m. in Germany. Wait, no, 1 a.m. in UK. I saw the G and somehow said Germany. Peace and love. Thank you. Let's see. Wait.
And then Matt D is asking us about Scalped, if we're still planning to read and review that.
Okay, Jess, I'd love to see what vinyl you're into. Okay, well, I'll have it marked, time-stamped in the description on OmniDog Spring Break or whatever we're going to call it, of what I hauled, because I did haul a lot of vinyl too. Let's see. Matt D. For Crime Corner, right? We're going to do Scalped?
Yeah, I think our next two videos for Crime Corner, we're doing Sleeper and Reckless next. And then I think we want to do more James Bond books, because I ordered a bunch of James Bond books. I think you just ordered one yesterday as well. The Felix Leiter book.
Yeah, I got the Felix Leiter book. Thank you for letting me know it existed, because I didn't know that. And I think that's the last one I need. Did you complete your collection of James Bond?
All I need is some of the compilation of short stories. I think I need two more that I'm all collected of what's currently out and published. Okay. So I'm close. I've been getting them in chunks because it's a lot of books.
It is a lot of books, yeah.
But I ordered the Greg Pak two-parter and Felix Leiter, which I'm really excited about because James Robinson and Aaron Campbell. Aaron Campbell's a great artist who did Hellblazer with Cy Spurrier. So I'm excited about that.
Real Big Cohen. I did get that book. I don't have any plans to read it soon. But I bought it. I do have good memories of it as a teenager growing up. But I don't have any plans to read it immediately. Let's see what else is going on here. Monsters was great. Taylor, you are trying to bankrupt me on these Bond.
I think you talked about that with Kristen last week, right? Those are some of your favorite books of the past year that you've read, the Bond books.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to. I mean, it's just a great series. I'm not making it up. I'm not just saying it. It actually is a fantastic series. I've never read something so consistent by so many different artists and writers. You would think, oh, I really love this one. This one kind of sucks. This one's okay. They've all been great so far that I've read, which is really rare.
Same. Exactly.
I was texting Jess yesterday that the comics are actually more consistent than the movies for me.
Let's see. I have 4 James Bond. Do you want to count yours? I have them all, plus the Felix Leiter book coming.
I have 8. And so I have 3 more coming. So I think there's like 13 or 14 of them.
Okay. Let's see if that goes.
Let me see if I count again. 1, 2, 3,
4, 5.
Yeah, so I have 8 and 3 on the way.
I have 12 and 1 on the way.
Okay. So yeah, it's like 13 then.
And I think they come both in hardcover and paperback. We've just ordered the hardcovers.
And there's one omnibus of the Warren Ellis material.
Right.
So they all come out in hardcovers and they release them in trade paperbacks. And Warren Ellis is the only one who has an omnibus of his 2 books together.
And we love that book.
And it's crazy to me that the Warren Ellis stuff isn't even my favorite of all of them, even though I enjoyed it.
What is your favorite?
I think the Benjamin Percy Black Box one is my favorite. I think that had just all the mixture of Bond that I loved. A really cool, interesting bad guy who's kind of a grotesque. A really interesting plot, great art. I really liked Andy Diggle's stuff. Because in our interview with Andy Diggle, like he really went into how much research he did to write those books. And it was just really, really interesting. Not trying to say the Warren Ellis stuff is bad, just saying that really speaks to how good the other stuff is.
Yeah. It's interesting that after talking to Andy Diggle, I have a new appreciation or more of an appreciation for his stuff because we got sort of an insight into his writing procedure and all the research he did for Bond, and it helped me appreciate it more. So it helped me appreciate kind of I revisited a couple things of his. I haven't read Shadowland yet. I know that's the one everybody loves to hate on, but I think it's the tie-ins that everybody doesn't like on Shadowland. I don't know that it's, but I haven't read it, so I don't know. But everybody loves to hate that one.
Yeah, I've heard the main series is better than the tie-ins.
Yeah.
Which is almost always the case anyway with most events.
Right.
Besides Metal, I think Metal is the only series where I actually enjoyed the tie-ins, the majority of them, than the actual series. I enjoyed the actual series, but those one-shots of the Dark Batman were awesome.
Yeah.
Those were the highlight for me. And that rarely ever happens with tie-ins for me.
I think that's a good point. Now, here's an interesting question. Have you guys read Preacher? I'm halfway through Omni Volume 1. Crazy. I read Preacher long ago, back when it was in floppies. And I remember being amazed by how crazy it was and how it was really pushing the limits of even Vertigo, how crazy it was. I enjoyed it all the way up until the very end. And I mean, I enjoyed the whole book, including the very end. But Taylor has a different perspective on it.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's bad or it's not great comics. I understand the impact, and I definitely appreciate why people like it so much. But as the Minister of Comics, it's just a little bit too over the line for me personally in the blasphemy department. So for me, I just can't enjoy it. But I totally understand why other people enjoy it, and I'm glad they do. It's just not for me personally. There's so many books out there that I would say aren't for me, but they're not bad. Right. I think you would say with manga, like Berserk isn't for you, but you understand why people like it.
Yeah,
that's how it's like a Preacher.
Right. And let's see. I'm just looking at what people are saying. Oh, you read Brubaker's newsletter, right? Did you guys see Brubaker mention they might be doing some reprints of older material in his newsletter, most likely standard hardcover format, though? Did you read that?
Yeah, I did read his most recent newsletter. It sounds like they might be reprinting stuff, like he says, in standard size hardcover, which I think some people are going to be bummed out by, because I think they've been having a lot of great success with Pulp and with Reckless, and that's standard size. So I think they're coming under the impression that a majority of their audience prefers that format, which to a certain extent, yes, we do prefer hardcovers, but I think we do prefer oversized. Now, I'm speaking towards the niche market that we're a part of. Maybe the vast audience, majority of his readers do prefer standard, but I know for collectors like us, we'd rather have the oversized. But I know you and I have those. We have Fatale, we have Criminal, we have Killer Be Killed in Velvet in hardcover, oversized.
Right.
So me and Jess are okay.
I don't have this. I have the two books. Do you waited for the Omni, right?
I didn't. I bought the original 2 hardcovers years ago.
Oh, okay.
We have the Snack Crap Will Pop editions.
Right. Let's see. I think somebody answered Reaper's question.
I believe it is oversized.
The collector says, if he remembers correctly, yes, I read it and I think it was. Marcelo finished the Criminal set. That volume 2 had me worried, but it finally arrived today. Nice.
Yeah, that's my favorite shelf in my collection, I think, the Ed Brubaker shelf.
Yeah. Hey, there's Rick Nelson, the man who announces toys to me all the time. I always appreciate it. The main series and Daredevil books are good. The tie-ins for Shadowland stink. Okay. It is.
That's kind of how most events are for me personally. I typically avoid the tie-ins unless they're absolutely necessary, which is never usually the case.
This is a question that I think I'm curious if you guys know anything about release dates at Marvel when they moved to PRH for distribution, like how DC books come out on the date announced everywhere. I hate to say it, but Omar is probably the question. That's
what I was gonna say.
I hate to say there's anything that he can answer that I can't answer, but he can answer a lot of things, and that's one of them.
I think he's more tapped into the practical nature of comics and how they're released than Jess and I are. Like how solicits work and FOCs work and all that kind of stuff. I think that's just more of his area of expertise.
Yeah. And here's a question for you, right in your wheelhouse.
So you did. I'm thinking Felix read the novel. You have to read the graphic novel of that. That was adapted by IDW. That's a great book that Jess and I both enjoyed. And I did read a recent Lawrence Block Matthew Scudder book that Jess told me to read in the Matthew Scudder series, and that's Ticket to the Boneyard. That was awesome. That was a great book. And also, I read A Dance at the Slaughterhouse recently. Lawrence Block just has the best book titles ever.
Yeah.
Ticket to the Boneyard was a great title, great ending.
Yeah.
Jess and I were texting about that for a while after I finished it.
Well, it still has a part in it that has stuck with me till this day, and I read it back when it first came out. That part in it that we were texting about just was an amazing piece of writing. I thought just a crazy good twist, just a tiny twist that made the whole thing.
I think it's definitely one of my top 3 favorite PI series for sure. That's a great series that every crime fiction fan should dive into.
Are you saying this sarcastically, Cycle? These criminal hardcovers seem like they're going to be in print for a long time. Are you? Because I don't really think they are. I don't think he's going to reprint these now that they've been reprinted.
Yeah, but once those oversized hardcovers go out of print, it sounds like they're done, and they might go back and do a different format, but not the oversized. Because I heard a Brubaker interview recently kind of going into the details of printing and how expensive it is to do a second printing. Second printings are much more expensive than the first printings. So it can be really challenging and not knowing how many people are going to buy. With Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, just buy their books right away. That's all I can say. Just buy them right away.
Fraser T is joined. Thanks for tuning in, Fraser. Here's something helpful from Rick Nelson. War of the Realms, Absolute Carnage, and King in Black have surprisingly good tie-ins in addition to the main series. I have War of Realms and Absolute Carnage, but I'm waiting for King in Black to get collected, so I don't know. Oh, okay. Cycle's not being sarcastic. I've heard the large print run. He said in the newsletter they printed a lot. Okay, good.
I'm holding on to my original Icon books until those Image ones eventually sell out so I can sell them.
Right.
I held on to them to the last minute because for a while we were all like freaking out. Like, are we actually going to get it? Because you couldn't pick it up anywhere for a while.
Right. Volume 2?
Yeah, either of them for a while. I just kept on. I couldn't have those not in my collection. So I didn't want to miss out. So I'll sell them eventually.
Fraser, we just got done talking about all the Bond books. If you want to go back after the episode, we don't want you to leave now, but to go back to about 5 minutes before when we talked about how great all the Bond books were, although Rick is certainly a good enough source to tell you, but I'm sure he'd say it was great. Wouldn't you, Rick? Speak up. Let's see. OmniDog, when can we expect the essential books for June? This weekend, which is today. Today's Saturday. I'll try to get together with him tomorrow and or Monday.
Yeah, you have until Tuesday when the books start going back out for June.
It's June 1st. I try to do it before the month actually happens.
Okay.
And he's the one with the tight. Well, everybody has a tighter schedule than I do at this point, so I have to coordinate with him, with Chris. Let's see. Here's Kenny. He has a question. Justin Taylor, do you agree? I think DC's collected editions has gotten better. Less cancellations of books. I agree. Not as bad as it was 2 years ago, but could be better and put out the books we all want. I don't disagree with that last part, and I agree with your first part, so I agree. What do you think?
I think it's still pretty much the same. I just
like
they're not putting out that. I'm still mad they're not putting out that Batman by Tom King Final Deluxe. It's like, really, there's one book left. What's wrong with you? I am tired of them changing the formats. Like, oh, there's a standard size hardcover. Let's do a trade paperback from now on. I'm just tired of them not really being consistent. we can have critiques about Marvel, and they've annoyed me in some ways, but for the most part, not always, they do stick with a format once they decide to go with it. Not saying always, but much more than DC does.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have all the Thor oversized hardcovers, and they're all oversized. There may be 7 of them or whatever, but they're all oversized. And if DC had done it, it had been oversized, standard, floppy, trade, oversized. It'd have been a big mishmash. So you're right about that. Here you are. We were worried you wouldn't be here, Hayden, because we were an hour later.
We're still in the midst of tangents. Don't worry.
My answer to this question, Greg, is yes. Stern wrote some of the best Spider-Man there is. That all is great. I highly recommend the Stern Spider-Man. Oh, and here's T-Lar Blunt, which is probably a lie.
Whenever Tyler says I heard something, it's almost never right. That's in my experience. I'm not saying he's wrong that they're not going to cancel the hardcover, but I don't really trust Tyler's opinion.
Fraser, we're assuming because it hasn't come out yet. When was the last?
Last July, I think.
So it's been a year.
And it should have been solicited by now, for sure.
A solicit would put it 6 months out.
Right. So it should have been solicited like in January, I would say. So I'm starting to lose hope. If it doesn't come out in the next couple of months, I'm just going to buy the hardcovers, like the standard hardcovers or the thick trade paperback of City of Bane. I'm not sure yet.
I gave in.
I still have some. I've already read it, and so I can wait, but I'll get it eventually if they don't come out with a deluxe.
Yeah, I gave in and got the standard and the 2 trades.
I can understand them giving up halfway through, but there's one more left. It's like, really? Come on, there's one more left. If I was Tom King, I'd be badgering them every single day, like, get this out there. Because that's just really annoying. That'd be annoying for him, I would think.
I would think so, too.
Wouldn't you be annoyed as a creator? You work so hard, and there's one deluxe left, and they're like, nah, we're not going to do it.
Well, the disconnect between publishers and creators is astounding because in the Omnibros chat, Gabe posted a picture of the announcement from Boom Studios that who the new CEO was. He had gotten a promotion to CEO, and Gabe asked him, will you be reprinting Irredeemable in any format since it's out of print? And the answer was, we do not have any plans to reprint that. And we all just had very short words for this CEO. It's like they're not connected to the fans. Irredeemable sells out in every single format they publish it in.
Yeah.
They just don't, either they willfully ignore it, or they are sloppily not paying attention to it, because it's not even a question of if it sells out, because Boom tends to underprint. It always sells out in all formats.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to buy that Something's Killing the Children like day one, or pre-order that, because that's going to go out of print very quickly, I bet.
Yeah, I pre-ordered a special copy of it already. I am. Oh, and there was a question here. I am going to upgrade, and I am upgrading Something's Killing the Children, and I have held off on Department of Truth so I can buy that hardcover when it.
Has that been announced, or are you just saying it's going to come out?
It's going to come out, and I'm not going to be a sucker and read it in trade paperback form, and they jam me up. But this is a good question, Jesse. Are you going to upgrade your Justice League New 52 books for the omnibus? If you mean Justice League Dark,
I think he means the Jeff Johns Part 1 omnibus that's coming out in like a couple weeks.
I have it in standard hardcover. I thought you meant Justice League Dark, because I'm definitely upgrading to that. I would upgrade to the omnibus if I knew for certain there was going to be a second one completing it, or a third one, however many they need.
I'll tell you this, Jess. If you end up getting that omnibus, I'll buy those hardcovers off of you. So that way you feel a little bit secure. I'll wait until we get an announcement on volume 2.
And you'll buy the standard hardcovers from me?
Yeah, because that Omni is just a little bit too big for me. I'm not really that interested. So I have the Dark Side War Omnibus. That's a really good size for me personally.
Okay.
I'd rather have the standard size hardcover. So I can wait, though, until the announcement of the second omnibus.
Okay, then the answer is yes, Gabrielle. I am upgrading. Thank you, Taylor. And Tyler says, I've been going through a lot of the crime corners. They are great. Are you guys planning on doing more? We are. We're going to do Sleepless. Wait, no.
Sleepless in Seattle, right?
Sleeper and Reckless.
Yeah, that's our next one. And then we'll do part 3 of our James Bond readathon from Dynamite because we love those books so much.
Right.
That's one show we have 1 million reviews lined up. We have a lot of topics and reviews for Crime Corner.
Yeah. No, it's nothing to do with Wade, Rich L, because Wade finds out he's one of the few creators that I actually I don't have a relationship with him, but I can get in conversations with him at cons, and we've also interviewed him. And I don't know that he would. He finds out when he gets. He told me he finds out when he gets a box of books on his porch when his stuff gets reprinted. So Wade doesn't have anything to do with it. It's all on Boom's shoulders.
Image is the one where they're really involved in it.
Yeah.
When it comes to oversized hardcovers, they're the driving force behind it. So, but a lot of other publishers, especially Marvel and DC, the authors have almost no say in it unless you're Donny Cates or Jonathan Hickman, because they seem to be really involved in their omnis and in their collected editions. I'm pretty sure Jonathan Hickman almost does the designs of all his books to a certain degree. And because they have the charts, they have the certain colors, they have all the drawings and everything. Jonathan Hickman has to have a chart in his books. So
Donny Cates is responsible for what appears in what books. So he has some say. He has a lot of say in the content of his collected editions.
And those guys are superstar comic writers, though. That's not the norm.
Irredeemable and incorruptible oversized hardcover would be huge sellers. You're correct. Boom just this year relearned that Power Rangers sell. They paid a lot for that IP for Power Rangers, and that's why they're pushing Power Rangers so much. I wish Irredeemable and Incorruptible was on the publisher's radar, but it seems like they're concentrating more on Power Rangers. Nothing against Power Rangers, whatever. I'm just saying I'd like more emphasis on Irredeemable. DC is going to pull a Dr. Aphra on Taylor. Batman just released 2 Omnis.
It's annoying. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I spot a wild T-bone in the chat. Fashionably late as usual. What a legend. I haven't read November yet, but Lou has. He baited me into getting the books. He said the first book is slow, but it really picks up with the 2 through 4.
Volume 1 was almost incomprehensible to me. So maybe I'll try reading Volume 1 again and then 2 on Hoopla and see if it makes more sense. I feel like I really do dig Matt Fraction when it comes to his big 2 work, like Jimmy Olsen or Hawkeye or Iron Fist. But all the creator-owned books I read by him are really a big miss for me. So maybe that's just like how for you, you love Charles Soule's Big Two stuff, but you hate his creator-owned stuff.
Right.
Maybe that's kind of a similar thing for me.
This is a question of personal choice, personal taste. For me, New 52 Superman, I didn't really care for any of it until Gene Yang took over at the very end. And even then, it was a very short run, and he got elbowed out of the way so they could kill that Superman. And so I would avoid all New 52 Superman and just read the heck out of Rebirth Superman, because both of those books, we both love both of those books, Superman and Action. I really like it. I just disliked everything about New 52 Superman. It could have been so much better.
They wanted to make the character edgy and a little more, I don't know, brooding, and that's not who Superman is. And so they just missed the boat on the character himself. So it's kind of hard to write good stories around that when you totally miss the core of the character.
Wait, what crime book question, Tyler?
Oh, I saw it. I just didn't bring it to your attention. Well, it's hard. Tyler, you know how hard it is. I know you're trying to jam us up, but it is hard when you have this many people asking questions.
Let me see what it was.
He said, what is a good crime book that someone who doesn't like super gritty stuff would start with? Tyler, just don't read crime books. You're a little bit too delicate for the world of crime. I can't think of one crime book that's not really gritty, and like for the most part, they're all pretty intense. Maybe Lady Killer. It's intense, but it's also light in some ways.
It's pretty bloody.
None of the Brubaker stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe Stumptown. I don't know. Tyler's kind of like stuck in the 14-year-old mentality, so I don't know. If it's not Power Rangers or TMNT, I'm not sure. So I hope that helps, Tyler.
Aiku is in the chat, and he says Volume 2 is indeed much better. Okay, that's good. Outside of Iron Fist, I haven't read anything by Fraction that I loved, and that was co-written with Brew. Jimmy Olsen gets a high recommendation from both of us.
That's the best thing Fraction's ever done.
I don't disagree with that.
I think it's better than Hawkeye. It's better than Iron Fist, and that's high praise for me.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to this question, Christian.
It's from Justice League by Scott Snyder.
Okay.
It's the first issue. I think it's Chung art.
Okay. There it is. Here, let's see if we can get a better picture of it.
The one thing I am worried about, Jess, now that we're talking about Justice League by Scott Snyder, I'm worried that the end of his run leads into Death Metal.
Whoop.
And we don't have that third hardcover yet, though. So that's one thing I need to look into.
The end of Justice League by Snyder leads into Death Metal. Oh.
I wonder if it does, is my question. Does anybody know? Because that third hardcover hasn't been solicited and hasn't come out yet, so we can't finish it yet.
We can't finish Justice League, but we're going to go ahead and read Death Metal.
Yeah, I'm guessing we should be fine, but if anyone could speak to that, that'd be helpful. If you have to read the end of Snyder's Justice League run to understand Death Metal. If so, that'll be annoying. Did you read Matt Fraction's Iron Man? I've heard mixed things about it. I've heard some people love it and some people hate it.
That was a recommendation to me because I said to him, I think I said it on an Omnibros show, I have yet to read any Iron Man that really has captured my fancy. And so he recommended Fraction's Iron Man to me. So I got all of it off of eBay for really cheap because it's out of print. And it's this could drive you crazy because it's all either standard or trade paperback. They're all.
Didn't they make oversized hardcovers? They didn't finish them. Is that what it was?
Yeah, the first two are in oversized hardcover, and then it's a mix of trade and standard hardcover.
I bet that'll get an omnibus at some point. Well, I would think.
It probably.
I mean, I do like. Isn't Salvador LaRocca the artist?
Of all of it,
I think he's the majority of it.
I'd have to move some of my two weeks of OmniDog haul to get at it. Just a sec.
Whisper, whisper, whisper.
LaRocca is the artist on the first two, it says, on the spines. And then comes, oh yeah, it looks like he did just about all of it.
I like his art almost always, besides his work on Star Wars with Jason Aaron and Kieran Gillen. He did a fantastic job on Darth Vader with Kieran Gillen, and then he started doing this really weird light box, like photorealistic work on Star Wars with Jason Aaron and Kieran Gillen. But thankfully, he went away from that in Doctor Doom by Christopher Cantwell, which I really enjoyed, and the art by Salvador LaRocca was really good. So he's usually an artist who really speaks to me, but sometimes his art's a little bit too off with the photorealism. We have some good recommendations for T-Bone if he didn't storm off in a huff. Psycho Cleveland, that's a good idea. 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank would be really good for Tyler. That's pretty jokish and pretty humorous and pretty lighthearted.
Yeah.
And Hugo says SpiderMan Noir.
Oh yeah, we need to read our noir books.
All I need is Punisher Noir. It's like the last book I need. That's the last thing I need. I want to dive into that.
I got it right before it went crazy.
It's like $60 everywhere. It's so I'm not paying $60 for a $20 book.
No, I wouldn't.
Way. I'd rather just read it online. I mean, Marvel Unlimited. I mean,
are we waiting to do it till you can find Punisher physically?
Well, we have our next 2 lined up. So that's probably another 2 months. So I have some time to see if I can find it somewhere else. Maybe I'll have to make another plea on the group, on the Facebook group.
Say I need it. Maybe that'll help.
I remember 6 months ago, I put something on the group, and I know people don't mean to be annoying, but whenever people comment like, "Oh, that's a great series," it's like that doesn't help me. I'm asking if you could sell it to me. It's just like, and the reason I'm getting it because I assume it's good. Not to bash those people, but it's like, only comment if you want to sell this to me.
I love my copy.
Yeah, it's like, I'm so glad I have mine. Oh, thank you for that comment.
This is something I haven't read. Warren Ellis's Iron Man. Is that Extremis?
Yeah, Extremis. That was a part of that was the template for Iron Man 3.
Okay.
So it's definitely I forget who the artist is on that. It's very much like an Alex Rossian, very realistic style, which really fit the book really well, and I really enjoyed it.
Did you read it physically or online?
I read it on Hoopla or Marvel Unlimited. I can't remember. I don't have it in my collection, but I did. That's pretty much the only Iron Man book I've read that really captured my attention. Because I agree with you that I love Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, but the comic version really hasn't done much for me. Unless he's like on like a team book. Never like a solo title has really captured my imagination.
Oh, this artist is really good. Aid Granola.
Is that really his name?
No, I'm jamming. Christian is having, original recipe is having problems with his phone.
Don't worry, dude. I've had a lot of accidental autocorrects with Jess that have been a lot more embarrassing.
I know, and I hardly ever jam you up about them. Jess, did you ever get the second and third trade of the Fix? I did. I really hope they finish that. I agree. I really like that team a lot.
Nick Spencer is kind of like Jonathan Hickman in the way they're both notorious for not finishing series. Like Nick Spencer never finished Morning Glories. He never finished The Fix. He never finished Bedlam. So he never really finishes his creator-owned work, which can be frustrating. Because The Fix was a lot of fun.
Sasmurf says, Aid Granola sounds good, though.
Sounds like something Omar would say, mispronouncing a creator's name.
Aid Granola. Actually, we were just talking about this book, Reaper, Injection by Ellis. I'm going to keep my Oversized, and you were debating on whether or not you were going to keep yours because it's not finished.
I don't know. The thing is, I just don't think Ellis is also someone who doesn't always return to his series at all or in a timely manner. Like Planetary, how long did that take to finish, Jess? Planetary took a long time, right?
Years.
Were you buying that in singles when it came out?
No.
Okay, but if you had been, you've been waiting for a very long time. But there's other books you never finished. And I
Trees
never
finished.
And following the allegations last year, there hasn't been anything from Warren Ellis really besides collecting stuff that's already been published. So I'm just not seeing new stuff from Injection coming out anytime soon. And I don't know if I want to be stuck with a hardcover of just something that's not going to be finished. But I'll hold on to it for a little bit and see what happens.
We will get into our burnout topic here in a sec, but we've been taking questions for the first 45 minutes. But that's a topic we should probably cover maybe next time, is when to bail on a book.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
How to purge. Maybe that's part of a purge topic, or
I'll write it down.
Yeah.
When is enough enough?
When is enough enough?
That should be it. Oh wait, that's our next video about Tyler. Sorry.
Here's Haiku answering the question. To answer the Snyder JL question, last issue in the final trade ends with continues in death metal.
Jess, that's so annoying and disheartening, isn't it?
Well, that means we've got to read all of JL before we read death metal.
But I don't have the last hardcover yet. I guess we'll have to read on Hoopla or something.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're definitely not reading that in June then.
I don't think so. These are collected edition problems. That's another maybe that can be another topic, or part of that enough is enough topic is collected edition problems like this. This is what happens when you're not a floppy buyer and you're a collected edition buyer, is you get stuck in a situation just like this.
I feel similar about the Jonathan Hickman X-Men stuff, where X of Swords, that big hardcover came out, but the omnibus that comes before it doesn't come out until December. And so if you're a hardcover waiter for that, you have to wait a long time to be able to read X of Swords. So it's stuff like that can be kind of annoying. I want things to kind of come out and like boom, 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 so you read them right in a row. But that's not always how it works out with this kind of stuff.
Here's a good question, and to answer it, I would have to look at what is in that.
You didn't buy that because you have the custom Omnis that you did.
I have it all custom bound because I liked the main series, and I liked a couple of the tie-ins, specifically the Batman tie-in by Azzarello is the best thing, my favorite Batman story ever.
Well, besides Earth One.
Besides Earth One, that's right.
And that comes out in 2 weeks, Jess. Volume 3.
And somebody jammed me up six months ago for liking Batman Earth One.
You haven't read enough Batman, Jess.
Saying I hadn't read enough Batman. I beg your pardon.
You've only read Batman longer than I've been alive, but whatever.
I'm struggling here because to understand Rebirth, you sort of need to understand Flashpoint. I mean, to understand New 52 and a little chunk of Rebirth, you need to know what happens in Flashpoint. Let me try and see what's in the Flashpoint Omni, and I will tell you. Flashpoint Omnibus.
I've heard that the mapping has been frustrating for people, kind of similar to Spider-Verse.
Oh, this thing's almost out of print.
Right.
Wow.
I haven't really heard any good things about the mapping of the Flashpoint Omnibus.
Oh, really?
And so I only have the Flashpoint trade, and I perfectly was fine with that. And I also have the Knights of Vengeance Flashpoint issues in the Brian Azzarello Batman hardcover. So I'm fine with just that.
Okay, this collects everything. 56 and all 56 tie-in issues, the prelude story from Flash 8 through 12. So it has everything. But some of those tie-ins are kind of lame, like Canterbury Cricket and stuff.
What?
Yeah, Canterbury Cricket, because it's It's so expensive on Amazon, Cycle. That made me think. I mean, it's almost full price on Amazon, so that makes me think it's almost out of print.
Let me look at some of the other sites.
10%. But
It's still on IST.
It's still on IST?
Yeah.
Okay, then I take it back. I apologize.
Amazon has had really terrible prices of comics lately. Since the pandemic started, it's been horrible. Like, it's almost always full price for stuff.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, I apologize. I take that back.
And it's on organic price books, so I'm assuming it's on CGN as well.
Okay, I'm wrong.
What DC needs to do is reprint Wonder Woman by Gail Simone. That's my biggest whale right now. I need that omnibus.
Yeah.
But DC doesn't usually reprint stuff, so.
So what do you need? You need Punisher Noir and Wonder Woman by Gail Simone. Which is your bigger whale?
Wonder Woman by Gail Simone. I would say.
Bigger than Punisher? Really?
I just really want to read that material. I've heard it's really good.
It is really good.
I would love to have it in my collection. It'll look better on my shelf probably as a nice, decent size omnibus. That's right in that sweet spot for me of not too short but not too long. But yeah, those are probably my two biggest ones right now that I can think of.
So my answer is about Flashpoint Omni from 5 minutes ago. It's not going out of print. It's fully in print. Amazon just you are so wrong. That is that Gang of Four song that I talked about 4 years ago is my favorite song. And stop it, Cycle.
Gabrielle says CGN does not have Flashpoint, which is surprising because they're usually the ones who have stuff the longest. Usually. Yeah.
So
I just got this off of CGN. This book just went out of print, and me and Tyler got the last copies. Fantastic Four by Mark Waid.
That is
Ringo. So literally the next day, it was out of stock.
That is such a good book.
So I'm glad I got that, and that was thanks to Mad Dog Comics is a really cool channel.
He doesn't promote anybody else's channel. What are you doing?
As long as it's not Omar, who cares?
I care.
All right, fine.
I'm still working on Flashpoint.
Sorry.
Get the main series Flashpoint. Get the Wonder Woman and Batman trades, and that should be enough. Because I don't recommend any of the other tie-ins like Canterbury Cricket and all the other weird things that were. So that's what I would do. And unless you're really invested in wanting to know everything that happens in Flashpoint, it's no. Okay, yeah. No, I wouldn't get the Flashpoint omnibus because a lot of it is dreck, except for the Batman story, and I like the Wonder Woman story.
Yeah, I'm fine with the Flashpoint trade and just the Brian Azzarello hardcover that I have. I don't need anything else for me personally. Elvis Parker, we did read Wonder Woman Dead Earth, and we both loved it, and everyone should buy it.
Right.
Great.
I agree with that.
And Smotlock is talking about wanting a Secret Six by Simone Omni. I did see that a comic book shop by me has all 4 of those complete collections, which are out of print. Maybe I should pick those up soon. I've heard nothing but good things about that series.
Are you Mad Dog, Michael? I actually don't know Mad Dog. I'm sure he's a good guy. I was just teasing Taylor. We can talk about him if anybody wants to. I just like teasing Taylor.
Well, I was just saying he does a monthly installment of a video called Whale Watch where he lets you know certain books that he thinks are going out of print. And one of the ones he talked about for a while was that book that it showed off. And so that's why I picked it up.
You're watching other YouTube channels too? Whoa, what is going on here? Here, I'm clicking you out of this.
I'm not watching Super Squad D. Is that better?
Okay, you can stay.
Were you a big fan of Secret Six by Simone?
Yeah, I read. Oh yeah, I'm like Mr. Awesome. I read it in singles, and it's been a long time, but I liked it a lot. I have the collections, I have thin trades of it though. I don't have the complete. I don't have the complete collections that you were talking about. There's 4 books.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I just have thin trades.
Okay. It's pretty much the Suicide Squad, right? It's by a different name. Basically.
Sort of, yeah. Oh yeah,
But
no, I was just teasing.
if you want to read a good Suicide Squad book, this was awesome. I loved this. Tom Taylor is batting 1,000 for me currently. He hasn't written a bad book, at least one that I've read. Jess, you're gonna love this book. It's so good.
Wait.
That and his Hellblazer book were very good.
Let's see. Anything else? I really just want the good stuff from Flashpoint. I have a weak spot for Flashpoint, so I did get the omnibus. Well, that's fine. I mean, there's some good stories in there, and you have the Batman story, which is worth every penny you paid for the omnibus.
Hayden's talking about Tyler there in a nice comment. Well, in a funny comment.
To be honest, I think I'm the only one that watches Super Squad D just because I feel bad for Joseph having to deal with Tyler.
I love the most recent video on their channel where Joseph was saying, if you know Tyler, you know he has no concept of space or time, which I thought was one of the most truest statements that have ever been said.
We both have the DC stuff. We're waiting for the 3rd hardcover to come out. Fourth.
There's a 4th one. It's kind of confusing because 3 of them. So there's Deceased, and the sequel is Dead Planet. And then there's 2 hardcovers that are set during and around the first hardcover, the first series. And that's called Unkillables, which is focused on the villains. And the new one coming out in June is called Hope at World's End, which is also set around the first hardcover. So once we have those, we should be good to go to read that series. Because we were going to read that when the pandemic started, but it was a little bit too close to home, I think, for a lot of us. So we decided to push it back a little bit.
Reaper XC is insisting you watch Mayor of Easttown.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch it. I just haven't given it a chance yet. That's like a Kate Winslet-led crime series on HBO Max. So I will check that out.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. I wonder if my wife would like that.
I guess you have to watch the trailer.
Sorry?
You have to watch the trailer to see if it's too dark for her, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Comic Slayer loves it too. She knows.
I've also been waiting for it to be done so I could just binge watch it. I know a lot of people love the week-to-week grind. I don't always love it though. I kind of just want to binge straight through a show like I did with MODOK last week.
Aiku is always upset at American TV. Fraser T, in my opinion, it is a good book, but you need to have prior knowledge. Firefly Legacy Deluxe. All those books, you at least have to have Firefly knowledge, and Legacy, it all leads up to, they all tie in together, sort of. So
there's not much to catch up on. Just watch the first season and then watch the movie, and that's it.
But I think Legacy is has some stuff prior to it, though.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe that was just the original comic book, but it's not.
No, I don't think you can just dive right into it.
Okay.
You need to read. I agree with what you're saying about watching the show, but you have to read some of the prior Firefly stuff. Yeah, I think everybody agrees with this statement.
What was wrong with the movie?
That it was all that they gave us.
Oh, I thought the movie was still good though.
Oh yeah, it was good, but I was angry that that's all they gave us was just a movie.
It's better than nothing though. You could have got nothing. So it's pretty amazing that the show got canceled and they made something more expensive to finish it out. I'm pretty sure the movie was much more expensive than the show would have been to produce. So that's pretty crazy that you at least got that.
Well, that's a good way to look at it.
I mean, most shows just get canceled and there's nothing after that. So I mean, anything's better than nothing.
Is it like 5 deluxes of Tom King's?
But they finished it out, though, is what I'm saying.
What?
They at least finished out the story of Firefly to some degree, is what I'm saying. They finished it.
Yeah. I had to change my light.
Should we get to the topic anytime soon, or what do you think?
I highly recommend The Flight Attendant. That's a good crime thriller drama, is it? I didn't know what to expect from that. Okay. That's on HBO Max too. She's like her own production company. She, at one point, I think she was the highest paid woman on television, more than Sofia Vergara.
Oh, yeah. They made a lot of, I think her, Sheldon, and Leonard, is that their names in the show? They made like $1 million an episode towards the end. Can you imagine just making that kind of money? That's insane.
That's close to what I'm making now off of YouTube.
And I haven't seen a dime.
That's how it's going to stay.
Gotta keep me in my place, I guess.
Okay, wait. There's some legacy questions being answered in here. Isn't the legacy all the original Dark Horse stuff? Is Kristen still here? She'll know. Yeah. Okay, good. Legacy is all the Dark Horse reprints. Okay, so he can go into Legacy squared away then. Just jump right into it. God, I'm wrong all over the place tonight. I should just shut up. Let's stop answering questions.
At least you have me and Kristen to help you out.
What's that?
At least you have me and Kristen to correct your mistakes.
Yeah, that was the Suicide Squad hardcover.
Yeah, it's just a standard size hardcover though. It's not oversized.
Okay, so is there anything else I could be wrong on?
There's a lot of things to be wrong on, Jess.
Shut up.
I just meant in general, but you took it.
I know, that's why I said shut up.
Okay.
Shut up.
Everybody, have you noticed how mean Jess has been to me this episode? Just curious. Now I know how Tyler feels. Jess is still angry because he said he loved Anakin Skywalker yesterday.
I got all confused. Were you watching that?
I was watching it. Sam was napping during that, so I just watched while I made my IST order and did some other stuff. So I was there.
No. I made a huge error and said I didn't like Obi-Wan and did like Anakin, which is the exact wrong order. Let's see. Hugo, and then we'll go to the topic. Since we're going strong with tangents, how many hot toys does OmniDog have on pre-order? And when does Rogue arrive? That is a good question. Rogue is paid for, and I thought that meant as soon as she was paid for, she would be shipped, but she hasn't. So I'm not sure when she's coming. I'm assuming June. Pre-order, let me think. 2 Wonder Womans, Scarlet Witch, Bo-Katan, Spider-Man, 2 Spider-Mans, at least 6 hot toys are pre-ordered.
I'll be right back, Jess. You can answer a few more questions, and I'll be back.
Where, for real?
Yeah, I have to go fill up my water glass. I'll be right back.
All right. I'll answer a couple more questions, and then when Taylor comes back, we'll start with the show. Roberto Rodriguez, Jeff Johns' Green Lantern is probably the best Green Lantern you will ever read. If you can, get the trades for Green Lantern Corps that were released at the same time and try and intersperse it. It makes it for a even better experience. But if all you have is the 3 Jeff Johns Green Lantern Omnis, you're all set. It's fantastic. It's one of the best things I've ever read. It's the best Green Lantern since my favorite Green Lantern from the 70s, the Denny O'Neil, Adams, Giordano run. So 100% get that blind buy. Just read it and you'll love it. I wish they had I custom bound all the trade paperbacks into 4 Green Lantern Corps Omnis. So if you can find the trades to read with that, I would do that too. But at least get the Omnis for Green Lantern because it's amazing. And everybody seems to agree. And the chat is talking about TV salaries right now. I agree with that. They should reprint it in Omnis, the GL Corps, because those books are great too. The GL Corps. And it happens alongside the John's Green Lantern run. It's really good. Screaming Fingers got a deal on Justice League International Omni 1 and 2. Any thoughts? I don't know what to expect. I'm not the guy to ask that. It wasn't to my taste, but for a lot of people, it was their Justice League. And so they are very happy that it's out. So if you're of a certain age, then you'll probably really like it. It's called the Bwahaha era because it's sort of jokey with Blue Beetle and Booster Gold and Batman punching Guy Gardner in the face and stuff. So yeah, here's Smotlock's JLI is my favorite Justice League. Bwahaha. So it's possible that you will really like it, Screaming Fingers. So I'd go ahead. What did Matt D just talk about? That they're still talking about the cast of Friends making $1 million a show. That is correct, Gabrielle. Hal Jordan is the greatest Green Lantern. Thank you.
The chat's been crazy today. Thanks everybody for interacting and
chatting. Yeah. Maybe we'll get a GLC Omni now. Now that we have a Tomasi Gleason Omni now, we have other Tomasi Gleason Omni now. That's a great thought. I would love it if that happened. Wait, someone was asking me a question about controversial. Oh, yeah. Jess, did you ever read the Gerard Jones early GL from the early 90s? Do you think they will? That's a good question. After all, his JLI stuff has been collected and his manga stuff too. I remember reading it. I don't remember really caring for it that much. I don't know that it was that popular. So my guess is, given that he's the big name on that book, they probably wouldn't reprint that. But you're right, his JLI stuff has been collected, and I didn't know about that he wrote manga, but I think he's kind of a problematic person to reprint now. But this is the chat. This is the show where Jess is wrong about everything. So I could be wrong about that.
And Screaming Fingers says to make sure to hit that like button. We have 82 people in the chat, but only 31 likes. So help us out by giving us some more likes to help us with Facebook, the YouTube algorithm, which makes no sense to any of us.
Right. Hit that like button. Thank you, Screaming Fingers. How dare you recommend another channel, Marcella? There's a really good comic tropes video about JLI. It can convince you to get into it. Yes, I'm recommending other channels.
How dare you?
Want to get into JLI? Marcella says, watch comic tropes video. I will not do that, but...
And Reaper XC is asking you about the Justice League Dark Omnibus, Jess. Isn't that going to be the biggest omnibus ever, basically? Like, it's like 1,600 pages, I think. It's huge.
Thank you for calling me Mr. Bragg. You can just call me OmniDog, though. I love New 52 Justice League Dark. That was the one place in New 52 where they actually wrote John Constantine actually reasonably well. And of course, I love Zatanna and Deadman in it and everything. So I would go ahead and get it on my recommendation because I think it's great. The new Justice League Dark is also good. I love it too, but I really love the new 52 Justice League Dark. And I will definitely be 100% getting it.
Well, Jess, you ready to start the actual topic?
Purveyor of Loops, we're done. An hour and 10 minutes into the show.
How about this? How about during the topic, we'll do some tangents too. I'm sure this is a topic that welcomes tangents, I think. Everybody, whenever we do the topics, usually people jump out, but please stay, write some comments. We'll read your questions. We'll try to interact with you as much as possible. We're trying to choose topics from now on that facilitate conversation.
Right.
And super chat, Jess.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from Fraser T.
Thank you, Fraser. Thanks for all the help, guys. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and so does Taylor. He'll see 2 or 3 cents of that.
My son will have a new pair of shoes.
That's right. As soon as I figure out how to get it from YouTube. Thank you so much, Fraser. I appreciate that a lot. Is this a new tangent record? We're always afraid to go off of tangents because that's when we lose viewers when we actually do the topic. And then I get complaints afterwards. All I care about is the topic when the start. So I don't know how to please everybody.
It's impossible, Jess. I've tried my entire life. You can't please everybody. All we need to do, Jess, is if we can just make our wives happy, that's all that really matters, right?
100%. That's why the show is at 8 p.m. from now on.
And that's why she will not be watching your Spring of OmniDog haul.
Right.
Hopefully.
This is great. Did you get that naked lady statue?
Remember I texted you that and said, this statue is way over the line. You're like, oh, I almost bought that actually.
You didn't know that, right?
No, I said basically this statue is pornography. Jess was like, I almost bought it.
But you didn't know I almost bought it.
No, I just said this statue is insane how inappropriate it is. And you were just like, oh, I almost bought that actually.
I think it was an Omni Bros Live where it was Deja Thoris, and it was extremely scantily clad Deja Thoris. It was a beautiful statue, but it would not pass muster in my house. And
going back to the happy wife, happy life thing, that would not made Mrs. OmniDog very happy.
No, and I don't know where I could have put it where it wouldn't seem pervy. If I put it on display, I'm going to get in trouble. If I display it in the dark, that's going to look really weird. Yeah, if I stick it in the unfinished part of the basement and lift a cloth to look at her, that's going to send me to the nut house. So
you made the right decision, Jess.
Yeah, put it above the fireplace. The Deja Thoris side statue show did shite. The statue did look good. It's coming, Farhan. I promised Taylor it'd be done by Tuesday at 5, and I will do it. You're right, and Manforty, she's not naked. She is covered up. That's a good point. This is how I get baited into buying things by the chat goading me into it.
I showed my wife a picture of that statue. I said, what would you do if I brought this home? She's like, never talk to you again.
I think she would, she'd take Bat Sam and walk out the door.
That'd be the final straw.
Yeah.
In my collecting. How close were you to pressing the buy button on that one?
That night, pretty close.
And then you thought about the consequences and said, it's not worth it.
Well, and then you texted me the picture, and I was like, "Oh, I'm glad I didn't buy this."
It wouldn't be a probation pie; it'd be divorce court pie.
Yeah, actually, let's see if we can get a picture of that, so we can show the other viewers what it looks like. Side Show collectibles.
How much is it? Do you remember?
I don't remember. We'll see in just a sec. Let me search for it. I don't need to Deja 550. Oh, there's two of them. Oh.
And once you see it, you'll see why this statue is not Minister of Comics approved.
Let me get a really good picture of her to show. There it is. Okay. Chrome tab.
Yeah, if your wife has had problems with some of your statues in the Stepford Cuckoos, this would not be a good one to get. Oh, gosh.
Are you seeing it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that would not fly, I don't think. That's definitely a single man statue.
Let me show some. Let's see. I can.
Psycho Cleveland wants you to know how far it got. Was it in your cart at any point?
That's a really good question. It was in my cart that night. She's got a gun. See, that's what's cool about this statue. She's got a gun behind the vase.
I have no idea who this character even is.
It's a Dynamite property right now. She's a princess of Mars. Is
she always dressed like that?
Pretty close.
Man, people always complain about Princess Leia in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Puts that to shame.
There's another Deja Thoris statue too. Let me see. Let me get it. Deja Thoris. I haven't seen this one. I don't like this.
At least.
Yeah, I'm not digging. I'm not as into this one as the other one. Her face is not as pretty as the other one.
Both would not be wife approved, though.
No, this. Look at that.
That one's almost worse.
Wow.
All right, this has exceeded my Minister of Comics approved time.
Okay. I get it.
That would make a great Father's Day or maybe a Mother's Day gift. I don't think so, Dog Collector.
Optimus Prime statue. Isn't that thing like $1,500 though?
You know what is really cool? Remember from the Hasbro Pulse release day a couple months, like a month or two ago, with that voice-controlled Optimus Prime? That I don't even like Transformers, and that was probably the coolest toy I've ever seen.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
N-Man 40, Taylor will turn to a pillar of salt now.
Well, I do have to be careful on. Sorry, Kristen.
It wasn't my fault, Kristen. I wanted it off the screen when she noticed. Well, that's a great segue into the topic, isn't it, Jess? Let's talk about how our tips to avoid comic book burnout. And before we get to our tips, have you ever struggled with this, Jess? Struggling with being burnt out on comic books and the hobby in general?
If I struggle with it, it's because I'm prone to depression sometimes. I know people whose they treat their depression with comics. It makes them feel better. But when I get depressed, I don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like watching television. I don't feel like reading. So I would say that's when my comic burnout happens. Is if I get depressed. I did get comic burnout when I was 17 till Dark Knight Returns came out. So that was a period of 8 years. And I think that was the material. I think the late Bronze Age material was just weak. And Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen helped spur a new infusion of talent that got uncovered and made comics so much better. So my longest burnout period was from 1977 to 1976 to 1985. So that's 9 years I didn't read comics.
I feel like almost every collector, I don't want to say almost every, but a decent majority, they drop out during college. I know I did. I didn't really read comics from, I didn't read comics as a teenager. Then once I went away to college, I don't think I read a comic until after I got married. So my comic buying and reading really began back up in earnest again, probably 4 or 5 months after I got married. So I was able to trick my wife into marrying me, I guess. And say, hey, by the way, I'm a collector. Because I didn't even know that myself until a couple months after we got married.
Yeah, small luck. Everyone quits comics when they start dating, or most of us. I actually was collecting when I met Mrs. OmniDog, and it didn't scare her away. So that was a good sign.
But during college, it's almost impossible to really keep up because you don't have as much. You don't have the money to keep up with it. You really think you're busy in college, but you're not really. It's more just the social time with your friends, and really that's the vast majority of your time. It's studying, maybe working if you have to, and spending time with your friends. That's the time to enjoy that time of your life because you're never going to hang out with your friends as much as you do during those 4 years. So
and when you say hanging out with your friends, you mean drinking beer and chasing girls for me.
Yeah, but not for me, but
not for you, but for me.
But yeah, so you know what I mean though, that no matter what you're doing during those 4 years of college, that's kind of your focus. And so I feel like it'd be really hard to really maintain a comic collection during that time of your life. Maybe I'm wrong though. I'm sure there are people who defy that rule.
I didn't get any free reading done during college. Not at all. It was all textbook stuff. I did study. Oh, this is interesting. I just had my 13th anniversary yesterday, Fraser. I started when I got sober and needed to find something also exactly when I met my wife. In college now, so it's difficult, but I'm stocking up. I just celebrated 13 years of sobriety, Fraser. I'm happy that you were aboard. I wonder if most people who go to prison stop reading comics. That's probably all they have to.
Their selection of comics probably isn't that great, but
yeah.
Depends what prison you're at.
Thank you, and congratulations to you too, Fraser. So it was. Let's see. Here's Screaming Fingers. A couple of bad stories causes my comic burnout. That's what it was. The late period Bronze Age caused a huge burnout, and when the stories got better is when I came back. To comics, and I was already heavily back into collecting and reading when I met my wife. I met her in 1987. It turns out my sobriety date is the same day as I met my wife, which was yesterday, 34 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Are you even 34 yet?
I'm not even 31 yet.
Wow, to be young.
I'm already feeling old, Jess.
Well, you shouldn't.
Tyler Blunt's old. Yeah, so I don't think I've had a comic book burnout period since. I don't even want to call that burning out because in college and post-college, I was just busy with other stuff. But ever since late 2014, I don't think I've gone longer than 2 or 3 weeks without reading comics. So I feel like it's been pretty consistent over the past almost 7 years.
Yeah. And Smolak is saying, I meant when we first starting as dating as teenagers. Yeah, that's true. When you're older, you can afford to date and buy comics. Marcelo says, lately, more than burnout from reading comics, I'm burnout from buying. I know we should avoid the FOMO trap, but if I want a book, I need to buy it day one or risk not getting it at all if I wait. That is a point.
It's getting a little bit better, but it still is a problem. Like early into the pandemic, it was really bad. Like you could almost not get you to buy things day one, like the second it dropped. Now you can still lose out on some stuff, but it's not nearly as bad as it was last year, at least in my opinion. You have a little bit more time for the most part.
Yeah. Now, this is cool. William Byrd got into comics because of college. I met people that were into this new Image group. I didn't meet anybody in college that was into comics. No, they all read different magazines.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people like William who defy that rule. I'm just saying, for the most part, for
Yeah.
most collectors I've talked to, that's their fallow period of reading comics and collecting. So we've talked about maybe our struggles with it. So let's talk about our tips for how to avoid comic book burnout, because I do believe it is something that is avoidable. Maybe it's different. I know, Jess, you talked about those of you who struggle with depression. That's a different issue. So I don't think our tips speak to that, but I think we're speaking to just in general getting burned out on comics for a variety of reasons beyond depression.
Right.
I would say, because like you said, everyone struggles with it differently. So we can't really give advice to everyone about that in a blanket statement.
About depression?
Right, because you were saying it hits you differently than other people. There's some people who they go to comics as their happy place during those bouts of depression, whereas for you, you kind of run away from it. So it's different for everybody. So we can't really speak to that in a blanket statement.
Right. And I'll tell you what I do have burnout from is video games, because I'm reading so many comics. So I do suffer from video game burnout. So, and that's a suggestion by The Collector. Switch between games and movies during your set reading times if you're burnt out. Somebody also suggested way early in the chat trying manga. I know that worked for Gabe from the Omni Bros. He didn't like manga at all, and he was burnt out on regular comics, and now he loves manga and reads tons of it. And that helped get him out of his reading burnout period. So manga is a good answer too.
And that's number one in the list that Jess and I came up with. We pretty much had the same exact list, so we're just working off the same one. And my number one point was switch up your reading. And for some people, that's reading manga. For Jess and I, that's not really the solution. For me, I read novels a lot. And so I'm almost always reading a novel as I'm reading comics. Like right now, I'm reading Mystic River by Dennis Lehane as I read The Goon. So I make sure that I'm reading novels because that keeps it fresh. Both of them keep it fresh. If I just read novels, I'll get burned out on that. If I just read comics, I'll get burned out on that. But going back and forth helps me to appreciate both mediums in a greater way. And for someone like Jess, who's just reading comics right now, don't just read one type of comic. Don't just read superhero comics because you're going to get really burned out on the big two. Right. If you can, read things like from Image or Boom or Dynamite. Read crime comics, read sci-fi comics. If you just read superheroes, I think you're gonna meet burnout at some point. Would you agree, Jess?
Yes, 100%.
It's gonna happen because there's only so much you can do with superheroes. There's only so many stories you can do, and if you go to other wells like crime or sci-fi or fantasy, you'll feel rejuvenated to go back to superheroes in the new light.
I just wanted to mention that Psycho Seb is in the house. 3:30 in the morning there.
Wow. Awesome. Good to see you, dude.
It's good to see you, Psycho. Smotlock says what you're saying, switching up your genres too. Yep. Okay. That's right. What we were saying. And Psycho Seb suggests writing, doing some writing, maybe in your journal or that autobiography that you think everybody wants to read.
Everyone, tell us what Jess's autobiography would be named. And the winner gets 20 SSD points, which are valuable as air.
I will actually give a prize away because I ordered 2 of this book. I am prone to doing that.
You've never done that before.
Well, I moved it already, darn it. I'll go get it. I'll go get it. Everybody start saying what was it? The name of my autobiography?
Yeah, so everyone named Jess's autobiography. And apparently the winner
book. But if it's in Europe, you have to pay for shipping.
And Gabrielle is asking us, is there something in particular we don't like about manga? Is it the reading format? Is it the black and white? Is it the stories? It's kind of all three of those for me, personally. Again, I'm not trying to say manga is not a valid art form. I'm not trying to bash anybody who likes it. It's just not for me personally. The black and white, I don't mind black and white. I do like a lot of comics that are black and white. I think crime comics really work in that format as well. Reading it right to left is really difficult, and the stories just haven't really connected with me on a personal level. So I think it's maybe those two things that have really held me back on that manga kick.
Are you still talking about manga?
Yeah, I was just answering his question of why we're not into it. I just said I think it's the reading right to left, and it's also the stories never really grabbed me, the ones that I've tried reading.
I have tried time and again to read manga, and my brain just hasn't adjusted, can't adjust properly to reading in the format that it is. I find it hard to follow. I've read a lot of manga trying to get into it, including Berserk, that everybody says is so great. And I wish I loved it like everybody else does, but I just have found manga to, its style is hard for me to read and enjoy. And it's hard for me to get into it.
All right, Jess, we have some of these titles. You ready to read some of them? We have from Fraser, An OmniDog's Life.
Wait,
we have I Did Something When I Was on Pills by Marcelo Ramos.
Whoa. An OmniDog's Life. That was one time, and it wasn't pills. It was after surgery. Shrink Wrapped.
That's a good one. OmniDog, I totally hate naked statues and love my wife. Why did I buy this? An OmniDog biography? It should have been, when did I buy this?
Yeah, because with a Kitty Pryde style cover.
I like Hugo's, A Bragging History.
Okay, wait. Where is it? There it is. Okay, the book is Suicide Squad Bad Blood.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
I know. I pre-ordered it and then I ordered it. And I keep a list of everything I pre-order, and I still bought it. I have not tried Akira, but I'm not going to either, Andrew. I've thrown in the towel. It's been 2 years of trying to get me to read manga. It's just not going to work. Why did I buy this? F9, the OmniDog story. What's F9?
Isn't that the Fast and Furious movie that just came out or is coming out?
I haven't read that yet.
Surgery made me do it.
OmniDog is a jerk. The Art of Double Dipping. There you go.
The Comic Slayer has another one.
Surgery made me do it.
My Life Stacked on the Floor. I gotta say, it's hard to beat Marcelo Ramos's.
OmniDog is a jerk?
No, he had another one earlier. I Did Something When I Was on Pills. That's a pretty good one.
Well, that is that does sound like me, but he doesn't live in the US. I don't even know if he wants this book. You're going to have to be the judge of who wins.
Oh, no.
Because I'm too close to it since it's my autobiography. So you'll have to pick the winner, and they'll have to want the book, and they'll have to be in the US.
How Little Nemo and a Hard Pizza Ruined My Life.
Is that a real one?
Yeah, that's IQ. That's the most recent one. I think IQ lives out of the United States too, though. All these people from different parts of the world are having these great titles.
Purveyor of Loops already knows the story. The Art and Science of Sneaking Packages into the House, a Jess Bragg tale. Autobiography title is on Jess's shirt. That's right. PB&J. That's my wife's license plate.
This is too hard, Jess.
Is it?
I'm trying to pick one.
Kirkman just got lucky, and this is my story. I buy trade so you can buy Omnis. That is correct.
This is too hard.
Okay. Does anyone want this book? You just have to pay for shipping, and I will send you this book free.
The first person who says I want it in the chat who lives in the U.S. gets it.
Right.
At least it's not Omar's book.
Jesso Bragley. Fraser, where are you? I'll send you this. Well, Fraser was the first one to say yes. Well, if you want to pay for me to ship it to Canada, yeah, you just have to pay for shipping for the book. Do you live in the U.S., Fraser? Because that's not a U.S. flag there.
Real big Cohen.
Real big Cohen. I bought 2 of these.
So, Fraser, you live in West Virginia? Is that what you mean by WV?
Oh.
If so, that's easy. That's really close to you, Jess.
Yeah.
All right, so Fraser gets it.
I'll walk over and give it to you.
So I guess how should Fraser get a hold of you, Jess?
Send me your name and address to what's my email on OmniDogs Vault 2 at Gmail. Let's see. Do I have that as a banner? No, I have this as a banner.
Intervention.
Intervention. I don't know why I have that as a banner.
Can you put it in the chat? Can you put it in the chat?
Yeah.
Maybe let's do that. And Fraser, you'll not be disappointed. This is a great book, and you're gonna love it. And everybody else, buy it if you can.
2 at gmail.com. Okay, send me your name and address to that email, and I will send you the book. You just have to pay the $3 for shipping or whatever. It's a good book. I just bought 2 of them.
All right, so number 2 in our tips to avoid comic book burnout. Fraser, $5 again. This guy's in college too, man.
I know. Okay.
I wouldn't be giving anybody money in college.
I will send it to you. Free shipping. I'll just send you the book for that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he pretty much already paid you that and some. So
I guess so. Yeah.
There you go. So number 2 is maintain a manageable backlog. And Jess, you came up with this one, I think. This is probably the only point that you wouldn't have agreed with or put on yours.
I have an idiotic backlog. My whole room is my backlog. Yeah. No,
so I think if you have the monetary means, I think it's good to have a decent backlog. That way you have choice and you have variety. That way you don't just you're not just locked into reading 5 books. You have a decent variety, but it's not too much where it's overwhelming. I would say at this point, I'm probably at 75 to 80% read.
Wow.
So I feel like I have think of all the books I have though, Jess. That's a pretty big number of books that I still have to read. But it's manageable enough. I don't feel overwhelmed. I don't feel like I'm drowning. But there's a lot of spice to choose from. I could choose superheroes. I could choose Image. I could choose I could choose Vertigo. There's a lot of different options. That way I'm not going to get burned out by just having 5 superhero books that I have left to read. And then you keep having to buy more. I think it's good to have a decent, manageable backlog if you have the money to do so. I think, Jess, you're probably rocking a 25% read. Is that where you think you are?
25 or 30%. 30%'s pushing it. Yeah, 25% I think is real.
But I think, would you ever say you feel overwhelmed sometimes? You look around at all the stuff you have to read, or do you say you feel excited by all the stuff you have to read?
That's a good question. Right now,
both, maybe.
I'm sorry?
Maybe a bit of both. You feel overwhelmed, yet excited.
I know I'm going to feel overwhelmed when I have to move. That's why I want to die before I move.
Don't tell your wife that. That sounds bad.
I know. I'm excited at everything I have to read. I have a ton of stuff that I haven't read, and I'm excited about it. And I still like everything I've read. I have purged just about everything. I could do with a second purging probably. But I've kept everything that I think I'm going to be interested in or that I have read and want to reread. So, but I I think there's a second purging coming up.
Golden Age Omnis. That's the solution, Jess. It is the solution.
That's only a shelf, man. It's only like that.
Hey, a shelf is still that's a good place to start, though, Jess. A shelf is a lot of room. It's a lot of books you could buy.
That's true.
It's baby steps. Like, what about Bob? Baby steps. So it sounds like you're more excited about all the books that you have than overwhelmed. So that's good.
That's actually true, Sazmurf. Yeah.
That'd be a good autobiography title.
Yeah, maybe that's my autobiography title. Where do you live? Where do you live, Sazmurf? I'll send you a book too. I'm sure I have tons of books I could send. That's a good title.
I mean, I'm guesstimating on my backlog. It's really hard to tell. I'm just guesstimating. I would think maybe 20 to 25%.
I'll tell you what I get overwhelmed by. I don't pick a realistic read pile next to my reading chair. It really should be about 2 or 3 books. And I've got about 15 books stacked there that I go, oh, I'm going to read this today. And I just keep adding, and then I'll subtract a little, but I'll add more. And it's constantly 15 books that I just get overwhelmed by. That is my problem with that. That's what I get overwhelmed by, my delusional reading pile.
What's Popping says Jess is going to fake his death so his wife can move everything.
Look who's back. I'm alive. Look what you did with the place. So what was our next point?
My next point.
What is your next point?
Here we go. It's don't be afraid to take a break. I think sometimes people try to force themselves to read when they're not feeling it. There's been some books that they're perfectly fine, but for some reason I'm not in the mood to read it. And I just kind of force myself to read it. And it's no fun to make yourself read something. You ever had a book where you're like not really excited to pick it back up, Jess, for some reason? Maybe you're just not in the mood for it. Maybe you don't like it.
Oh, yeah. Chris is not going to want to hear this, but JMS SpiderMan, I don't want to pick it up. If she's still in the chat, that was something we were going to read for the show, the OmniCat show. I don't want to read it.
And maybe you're just burnt out on comics in general. You need a break just for like a small hiatus, like maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month, and that will give you the energy to come back to the hobby refreshed. So if you need to take a break, those brief breaks will help you not to get burnt out and quit totally, I think.
I agree with that. And I would say not necessarily do something that involves reading or watching TV or anything. I would say pick a completely different hobby, like gardening or art or writing, and get out of the house, or golf or tennis or something, and completely break the cycle of you watching or you're reading or you're playing video games or anything, and change it up completely and get your brain engaged in something else. And Psychosub's right. Hit the thumbs up, by the way. Thank you. Oh, no, I feel the same, though. I want to read it sometime at the end of that first. Okay, good. Yeah, the end of that was really painful. Yeah, I would say walk away from and switch it up to something outdoors or something indoors, like writing or painting or drawing or
action figure photography.
Unless you're obsessed with it and you do it like all throughout the day, especially at night,
Tyler
10 p.m. to 2 a.m. and eat 6 bowls of cereal.
And Tyler Blunt's the opposite extreme now. He's barely read anything for months because he's been taking so many toy pictures.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it's better to take a small break than take a lifelong break because you're so burnt out on the hobby. So I think you're right. Finding other hobbies to really fill your time and to keep these things fresh is really important. Because comics are too awesome to totally give up on for the rest of your life.
Right. N-Man40 says, yes, Jess, don't read because you're forced to. Sometimes I feel you feel forced to read things because of suggestions. Buy them, put them aside, and read at your leisure.
And that's part of point 4 is don't force yourself to read things you don't enjoy. And this kind of ties into the whole FOMO thing of just buying things because other people tell you to. And sometimes you read a book because everyone loves it, but you're just not connecting with it. And sometimes you feel like something's wrong with you, but there isn't. It's you just don't like it. You can't force yourself to like something. If you don't like it, that's fine. It doesn't matter what everybody else likes. What matters is what you like. And I think, Jess, you've been a big advocate of that, of like, who cares if everybody else likes it? If I hate it, it doesn't matter. Or if everybody else hates it and I love it, who cares? As long as I enjoy it, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of life is too short to do anything optional. I mean, we all have certain things we have to do, but if it's something like comics and you're reading a comic that nobody else likes and you enjoy it, well, you enjoy it. Just because YouTube channels say it doesn't, just because YouTube channels say it sucks and you like it, don't take their word for it. If you like it, read it. And if somebody's saying this is the greatest book ever and you didn't get it, you didn't get it. It's okay. It's your hobby. You have to read what makes you happy. All I've ever wanted to do on YouTube was to make suggestions, and I think you're the same way too, is to make suggestions of what we enjoy and put it out there so that people can use them as suggestions for options and hopefully expose them to something new they haven't been exposed to before. But by no means am I trying to ever say you're a loser for not liking what I like, or if you don't buy this book, you're a dope. These are just recommendations of what I like. And sometimes people like my recommendations and sometimes they don't.
You like the Matador?
God, I am going to go back in our text history and I am going to get every goof up of yours, like the double dick one. When you said double dick, oh, you always jam me up about that. Well, yeah, Taylor, what comics do you cover on your channel?
Well, I do have Minister of Comics on Instagram. Check out my reviews here. So thank you for that plug.
His IG address will be in the description too. Screaming Fingers is saying he didn't like Morrison's Arkham Asylum. It's not for everybody. Some books are just not for everybody.
And number 5 is very similar. Sell things that you don't enjoy. If you're not enjoying it, just sell it. Get rid of it. Don't feel like you have to keep it in your collection. It feels so great when you just sell things. Like this might surprise Jess. I did not enjoy the Grayson series that much, so I sold the omnibus. And that...
This is my show now. I'm taking over. That crossed the line.
Totally go against your point that you just made. It just, I wouldn't say it was bad. It just didn't capture my attention. It didn't captivate me. And so I sold it, and part of that money went to go buy the Fantastic Four by Mark Waid omnibus. So I sold something that I didn't enjoy that much for something that I think I'm going to enjoy more. So you can take that money and buy something else that you'll think you'll enjoy even more, and that's a good use of your money. So don't be afraid to sell stuff if you don't like it.
Yeah. Wait, is this my book title again? Oh, Gabrielle is upset with you.
Sorry, it's been sold.
Sorry, dude.
That was an easy book to sell. It sold in like 5 minutes.
I bet it did. I can understand this, Rich. Yeah, Fourth World, I think, is an acquired taste. I understand that.
You very much have to be in that Silver Age mentality. Or I guess, is that Bronze Age technically? I guess that's late Silver Age, right?
No, I think it's Bronze. It's fully in the Bronze Age because it was after or right after, during Green Lantern 76. Conan #1, which I believe is what people generally accept as the beginning of the Bronze Age. So Fourth World was definitely Bronze Age, but Kirby's writing and his creations don't necessarily connect with everybody. So if you've tried and you didn't like it, that's all you can do. I point no fingers at somebody that's not into something. I mean, Roberto just said he didn't like Irredeemable, which is too bad. It didn't connect with him, but it doesn't mean he won't listen to my recommendations. I'm sorry that it didn't connect with you, but it just wasn't your thing. So I get it. I'm sorry to hear that.
I think our main point is we want people to love comics, whatever comics you enjoy. We support you loving them, and we want to help you read them for the rest of your life, basically. And that's what the point of this show was.
100%. 100%. Where do you guys sell? Online or LCS? My LCS doesn't take previously owned collected editions, so I have to sell them on eBay. I won't sell on Amazon anymore. They take too much. They take like 20%. And even eBay's 12.55% seems like a lot, but it's better than Amazon's 20.
I sell on eBay or the Facebook group that I'm a part of, Omnibus Collectors Comics WAP and Community. That's where I sold the Grayson Omnibus. I posted it and it sold within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That was really easy.
Facebook groups, or I've been wanting to try Mercari too, but I don't know enough about it yet to try and set anything up there. Facebook's groups. This is what I've done too. What Nman40 is saying. If you don't enjoy it now, you could enjoy it later. I have put stuff that didn't ring my chimes into the unfinished part of the basement, which I really need to purge more. I put it in storage, as Nman is saying, and I'll revisit it. But if it's still not doing it for me, then I'm definitely going to get rid of it.
Yeah, there's some books that are middling in the middle of the road, but there's some books you just know you're not going to read them again. Like I remember reading the Black Panther Volume 1 hardcover by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and it was like an Ambien pill. The Ta-Nehisi Coates hardcover, the first volume of his Black Panther run. I felt like I was falling. I actually fell asleep multiple times while reading it, and that's never happened to me before while reading a comic. And I just knew I'm never going to reread this again. I didn't enjoy it at all. There's some series I'm like, maybe I'll try this again later. It's just not the time right now. I'm not in the mood for it. I think not being in the mood for something is different than like I actively don't like this. Do you know what I mean? Like you would admit that The Unknown Soldier is a really well done series, but you weren't in the mental headspace to be going through that really deep of a tragic book at that moment in life. And there might be another time down the road where you're in the mood for that book, but you admit it's good. It just wasn't for you at that time. There are some books where it's like, I hate this, or I just really don't like it, and I don't want to reread it or try to read it again. So I think we can kind of feel that out to some degree.
Yeah, and I kept the series Unknown Soldier because I want to revisit it. It just wasn't doing it for me at the time, which was, 8 months ago?
Yeah, and you told me, listen, this is a really well-done series, great writing, great art. It's just too depressing for me and too real for me at this moment. And so maybe you'll feel the same way again when you read it again. Maybe you won't.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it another try, but it was too much for me. I haven't read, as I said, I haven't read an Iron Man book that I cared for. I haven't read a Black Panther story that I cared for, and I've tried a lot of Black Panther stuff. I loved the movie, and I loved him in Civil War. I loved his character in the Avengers Endgame, but that's the movie one. And I've read so many Black Panther books, and it's the same with Iron Man. I just haven't read a run yet that's really grabbed my attention, and I really want to. And yes, I've read all kinds of Black Panther. I did like the Black Panther Secret Invasion trade paperback. I kept that. I'm selling the rest of all of it. Oh, Joe Goose didn't dig Watchmen. Okay, well, that's fair. Don't ever watch his channel again, but that's fair. No, I'm kidding. Joe Goose is my guy. Oh, this might be a good thing. One more tip: never follow authors on social media. I would extend that to actors and actresses too. Actually, I don't follow anybody on social media. I would say avoid social media altogether, except for our Instagram pages. You should follow.
Because we're not celebrities. Well, maybe not. Maybe we are.
Tonight on our channel, we are.
On the list of celebrities, we're in the basement.
In a locked door in the dark with my Deja Thora statue. Yeah, and people are agreeing with Psycho Seb, although Tim T asked, why is that? Some people cannot handle different opinions. The collector's saying definitely. MJR, however, is saying, I like interacting with creators on social media. So it's it's kind of you have to be careful dealing with people on social media. I choose not to follow anybody really, because I don't know. I'd rather not get into, if all anybody posted was their stories and things, that'd be fine. But when we get into people's opinions, I don't know. I don't necessarily want to know people's opinions on things. I don't want to know anyone's opinions on anything, actually. I don't even know why I'm doing this show. Why does anybody want my opinion? Who cares? You guys are crazy.
That's a good ending point because I have to head out. So, great way to end the show, Jess. I think that was a great show, and hopefully we gave everybody some decent advice to think about and follow.
Well, at least
get rid of
posters of us on his wall. That's good.
And Super Squad D's trying to hawk his IG in our chat. Tyler, if you've been here the entire time, that'd be one thing. But you're gonna show up at the end just to show off.
Todd McFarlane's not receptive. That's funny. Yeah, we've been on the air a long while, almost 2 hours. The chat has been great. Thank you so much to everyone that's been in the chat. I will go back and try to mark the time we actually started the topic, but this has been a lot of fun talking about comic burnout, and all your questions and stuff have been great. Really appreciate all the interaction. And of course, I love the Minister of Comics. Where can they find you?
You can find me at Minister of Comics on Instagram. You can find me here on Baturdays in the Batcave and our next Crime Corner, which should be coming up soon.
Right. Let's answer this one question, because this is a good question. How many issues do you give something before you drop it?
It's hard to say. It really depends on what about the book annoys you or you don't like. And we read collected editions. So I would say I give something like a trade. I mean, if I'm halfway through a hardcover and I really don't like it, I usually finish books I don't like, though. I almost never just bail out. I usually at least finish that volume that I'm reading.
I am going to have a really hard time restarting JMS Spider-Man. Oh, Gabrielle says it was around the hour 20 mark. Thank you. Good. Awesome. That's what I'll say. Gabrielle says hour and 20 mark. I would say probably 6 or 7 issues is what I would give a run before I would drop it. Oh, Bob the Rob. I haven't seen you before. This show is great. You're the man, OmniDog, and the minister gets better with each of these sermons. That's awesome. Thank you. And you can find me here on YouTube on OmniDog's Vault and on Instagram, OmniDogs_Vault. And I'm sure I can find dupes of other books. So I'll give away books on every episode for the next 5 or 6 episodes. We'll always have a contest. So
just not the Seinfeld contest.
Right. So peace and love, peace and love. Thank you for tuning in, and we really appreciate and love all of you. Thank you.